Okay, so for the first couple problems, we're dividing by just one term, like 2x squared or 3x squared. When you divide by one term, you can just divide each individual term by that term. And what that looks like is this. I'm going to write it like 8x cubed divided by 2x squared plus 4x squared divided by 2x squared minus that. And now we simplify. So remember a couple chapters back, when you're dividing things with exponents like this, if you have the same base, which is x, then you can actually subtract the exponents. So this would be 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then x cubed divided by x squared, there's going to be 1x left over on top. And then for the next one, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then x squared divided by x squared is just nothing. It literally cancels out. And then for the last term, 12 divided by 2 is 6. But then x over x squared, this would cancel and we'd be left with 1x on the bottom. So it's 6 over x. I don't know how to properly show that. So this is 12x, and then on the bottom you have 2 times x times x. So this cancels and you're left with 1x on the bottom. Should have put different colors. Okay, so repeating that same thing over here for number 2. We're going to take each term here and divide it by 3x squared. So 3x cubed divided by 3x squared. Okay, so now we simplify. 3x cubed divided by 3x squared, the only thing that this would cancel, then you subtract 2 x's from this and you're just left with an x. Then for the next one, 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, so minus 2. The x squared divided by x squared is just 0, so it's just 6 divided by 3 to get that. For the next one, x over 3x squared. Well, one of the x's would cancel, and then you're left on the bottom. Here's how it would look. 1 over 3x. This would cancel, and then one of these would cancel. And then for the last term, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So this would be 3, and this would simplify to 1 over x squared. Kind of separate that. That's Riley. Okay, so that's if you have one term. If you have two terms, like down here, so if you're writing it on paper, write down the next problem. You're going to need a bit of room to show work with these. So for number 3, make sure that you have room on the page to show work. But here's the problem. Okay, so if you're dividing more than one term, then you'll use long division. So what they mean by more than one term is right here, there are 2 terms there, whereas up here there was just 1. So you have 1 plus 3x. Don't forget to put it in standard form. So you'd want the exponents in decreasing order. So we're actually going to have to rearrange these a little bit to put them in decreasing order for this one and for this one. So when we write it, we'll keep that in mind. And then I'll show you the next step in a second. So as far as the setup, we're going to set this up like long division. So this right here, I'm going to say, okay, this is 9x squared minus 3x plus 4. So I just rearranged it so that way it's in the correct order. And then I'm going to divide by this term, which I also have to put in standard form like this. Okay, what now? Has anybody seen this before? No? It's like totally new. At first it looks kind of complicated, but by the time you do like 2 or 3, it feels a lot easier. Okay, so we're going to divide this into this. What we're looking for is a factor. We can multiply this first term by 3x to get 9x squared. So that term would actually be 3x. So 3x times 3x would equal 9x squared, and we put that term right here. And then just like with long division, we multiply this by this, and then we subtract it here. So we're going to do 3x times 3x plus 1. So I'm just going to do this off to this, show you this off to the side. You distribute it like this to get 9x squared plus 3x. And then you place this right underneath. Then, just like in long division, you subtract this. So we're going to subtract and subtract. So I'm just attaching negative symbols there. And then I would get like 9x squared minus 9x squared is just going to be 0. And then negative 3x plus negative 3x is going to be negative 6x. And then just like in long division, you bring down that last term. Okay, now what? Now we see, what do I need to multiply 3x by to get negative 6x? That would be negative 2. So I'm going to do minus 2. Negative 2 times, make sure I'm giving you negative 2 times 3x plus 1. I'm just going to put that down here. So negative 2 times 3x plus 1 is negative 6x minus 2. Now we subtract it, meaning that these have to change signs. Then we get 0 plus 6. Now there's nothing else to bring down, so this is actually a remainder. And the remainder goes over what you divided by. So just make a note and I'll show you what it means. Over what you divided by. So we take the 6 and at the end we just say, okay, plus 6 over 3x plus 1. That's supposed to say 3x plus 1. Maybe I'll use white because that's hard to read. Okay, underneath here, this should say 3x plus 1. Okay, we're going to repeat that again, and I promise it starts to feel easier. Okay, ready for number 4? Okay, moving on to number 4. So we're going to set it up the same way. Something that it mentions here is that if you're missing a term, Here it's missing an x squared. We have to put in a placeholder of 0x squared. So it's missing x squared. So therefore, we're going to plug in 0x squared when we write it out. Okay, so writing out the term that goes inside the bracket, 4x cubed plus 0x squared plus 5x minus 3. And then from here we put this outside. Okay, so we need to determine what we need to multiply 2x by to get 4x cubed. Well, that would be 2x squared. So if I'm choosing 2x squared, I put it there. Okay, so now I need to multiply this by these two terms. 2x squared times 2x would be 4x cubed. And then 2x squared times negative 1 would be negative 2x squared. I need to subtract, so I put a subtraction symbol here. This will turn to addition. Then this cancels 0. 0x squared plus 2x squared is just 2x squared, and then bring down your next term. Okay, I need something that I can multiply 2x by to get 2x squared. So that would just be x. So I'm going to add an x here. Then x times this expression, x times 2x is 2x squared, and x times negative 1 is negative 1x. I'm subtracting, so I turn everything negative or to the opposite sign. This just cancels. And then 5x plus 1x is 6x. And bring down the last term. And then what do we need to multiply 2x by? Yeah, so we're going to add a 3. And then multiply it by this, so we get 6x minus 3. Now again, we're subtracting, so that 6x cancels. This just cancels. This cancels too, so 0, 0. So no remainder. So this here is our answer on top. Okay, so what the teacher that wrote these notes does is from here she teaches you another way to do it, and I don't think we should learn a new way while we're kind of still mastering this way. So for the next problems, we're going to continue doing it this way and just get better at it and more comfortable with it. So when we move on to the next page, we're just going to continue doing the same way. So number 5, if you don't have the notes printed, just write this problem down. And that's it. Okay, so we're going to put this in the brackets. It's not missing any terms or anything, so we don't need to fill in anything that's missing. We're just going to do 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 1. And then over here, x plus 1. Okay, so we need to know what we would multiply this by to get this first term. and we could multiply it by 3x squared to get that. So my term here would be 3x squared. It's blurry. And then I can take this and multiply it by this. So I'd get 3x cubed plus 3x squared. And then put subtraction symbols or change the sign. Then this is 0 and this is negative 7x squared. Okay, then bring down the next term. And then we need a number we can multiply x by that would get negative 7x squared, so that would be negative 7x. Negative 7x times x would be negative 7x squared minus 7x. Then we're subtracting this whole thing, so we need to change the signs. This cancels, we get 9x here. Bring down the negative 1. Then what would we multiply x by to get 9x? We'd multiply by 9. So we're just going to add 9 right here. Multiply it all out. Then we're subtracting, so change the signs. Left with negative 10. There's nothing else to bring down, so therefore this is a remainder. And the last step is just to put the remainder over this. So it would be plus 10 over x plus 1. And this is our answer here. Okay, we're just gonna do 6 and 7, or all right, do you guys get it? Do you guys feel comfortable, or do you want like more examples? I don't know. I was just gonna do maybe 1 or 2. Is 1 more good for you guys? Okay, I'm gonna skip 6 and 8. We're just gonna do number 7 as like the final little review. Okay, so here we have x squared and 3. It's missing as like just an x, so missing x, so therefore we're going to plug in a 0x. So when we write this out, we're going to do x squared plus 0x plus 3. And then over here, x minus 1. Okay, what do we need to multiply x by to get x squared? Well, that would just be x. So then we can multiply this whole thing. Now we're going to subtract, so it changes that sign. So just get x, bring down the 3. What would we need to multiply to just get x? Well, 1. So we're going to add 1. 1 times this would be x minus 1. It's subtracting, so change the signs to everything. We get 4. This is the remainder. There's nothing else to bring down. So then we just put the 4 over this, plus 4 over x minus 1. And we're done. Okay. Your homework, I made it so it's only 5 questions just because these questions are a little bit longer. So your homework's on Schoology. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. I think there's still like 25 minutes left in class, which is a good amount of time to do your homework and then also start Khan Academy for the week if you have time. Use the laptop, of course. Remember to grab the new numbered laptop, the one of your new desk number, and let me know if you have questions.